Well, in a moment, I'm going to be speaking to Rebecca Williams, who's at John Baker House in Amesbury, where Dawn Sturgess lives. But first to Adele Robinson at the house where the couple were taken ill in Amesbury on Saturday. Dawn was taken ill first, wasn't she, Adele? Then what happened?
Yeah, she was taken ill on Saturday morning, 6 days ago. Paramedics attended, she'd collapsed. They took her to Salisbury District Hospital. And then a few hours later, Charlie Rowley was also taken ill and in turn taken by paramedics, and we saw those images yesterday, wearing protective gear to, as well, Salisbury District Hospital. They thought at the time that they had taken a contaminated batch of drugs. It obviously transpired over the next few days. And by Monday, that this was something that was more suspicious, and now we have the confirmation that they had been exposed to Novichok. Now, what happens now is the officers involved in this investigation from counter-terrorism police are trying to piece together their movements in the period of time before they fell ill. That period of time appears to be, at the very least, from 10 o'clock the night before, up until when Dawn Sturgess fell ill on that Saturday morning. And for that reason, they have cordoned off 5 locations, including where I am now, outside the home here on Muggleton Road. There's been a bit more activity actually here this afternoon, an increased police presence. They've extended the cordon further back, presumably to make way for the specialist teams to prepare for their arrival at some point today, possibly tomorrow. We know from Sky sources that some of the locations we will expect to see specialist teams in hazmat suits going in there and starting their investigations. They've already put up incident screens here as well, and they did that in Salisbury, familiar scenes from Salisbury 4 months ago with the Skripal case. We've also been finding out a little bit more about the couple. We know about their last few movements before they fell ill. After, we believe, Dawn Sturgess fell ill, Charlie Rowley went off to a hog roast at the nearby Baptist church for a short amount of time, but became ill. We've also been speaking to one of his friends who's actually spoken to us anonymously. This is what they had to say about Charlie, who she said had been involved in drug use. Charlie is a good guy. It was definitely an accident. And I think they found a package that possibly looked like drugs. We sometimes look in bins for things to sell for money and drugs. Now, that feeds into what we have been saying throughout this morning and into this afternoon, that the police are very much focused as a possibility, of course they're keeping an open mind, on the fact that the couple could have become victims of cross-contamination, that this was less about a secondary attack following on from the Skripal case. Police have said there was nothing in their background to suggest that they would be deliberately targeted. So this is about where they could have come into contact with Novichok by accident. And so it's crucial that the police find out where they've been and exactly where that Novichok was or still is.
OK, Adele, thank you. Let's bring in Rebecca Williams. She's at John Baker House here in Salisbury, where Dawn Sturgess lives. Hello to you, Becky. What are local people saying about Dawn?
Well, yes, I've spoken to a few people who live in the hostel. Let me just talk you through what's happening here, Kay, because in the last half an hour or so, they've completely cordoned off this road. This is where she was staying. Like I say, it is a hostel. You can see maybe in the distance, they put up these green screens so that you can't see what's going on. And a couple of white vans have been brought in. We don't know what's happening exactly yet, but certainly some movement will be carried out in the next half an hour or so, I'd imagine. And if what happened last time with the Skripal case is anything to go by, I would imagine that this is the start of investigations. They will go in, I imagine, in these hazmat suits, these protective clothing, and they will search the room that Dawn was staying in and perhaps further in that building. They may carry out a decontamination. They certainly did last time when Sergei Skripal and his daughter were contaminated with the nerve agent Novichok. But we will see what happens here at this hostel. Certainly, we have been pushed back, so it's harder to see what's going on now. But people who'd lived with Dawn were speaking to me, and here's what one of her neighbours had to say.
We've all been evacuated out this morning. Literally, I had a knock on my door saying, you've got to pack a bag, we've all got to leave, you know what I mean? It's not very fair on the residents. We live here and we've not been told anything. So, no, there isn't enough information at all. Like, got to evacuate and we don't even know why, you know what I mean? We said to him, is it because there's a nerve agent? And they're like, it's just precautions, you know what I mean? But then, where do we take all our stuff? Where do we go? Dawn was a lovely person, you know what I mean? She's absolutely lovely, but she doesn't deserve this, you know what I mean? Not at all.
So I think that's a common theme. Lots of people saying that they're not being given information. There's very little coming out. And certainly I've spoken to a lot of residents today. Some say, you know, they carry on as usual, but others saying, yes, it is unnerving because, first of all, they said there was a low risk to the public. They are still saying that, but now it seems 2 more people are fighting for their lives in Salisbury District Hospital, and we go round all over again. So Public Health England, like I say, they say there is a very low risk to the public, but they are warning people in Salisbury and Wiltshire, Amesbury as well, 9 miles down the road, not to pick up containers just in case, because although rainwater would have washed off the nerve agent, inside there could potentially be something far more harmful. But we have been to Queen Elizabeth Gardens earlier on this morning. We understand that's where the couple had gone before they became ill, so that's now all cordoned off, as well as this site in the centre of Salisbury, which, by the way, is only a stone's throw away from where Sergei Skripal and his daughter Yulia collapsed on that day back in March.
OK, thank you. Joining us now...